costumed vigilantes are least likely to kill you, intentionally or otherwise.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Chamber of the Wraith. My name is Brian, and tonight we're going to be taking a look at something for the WraithCast, which unfortunately had a bit of a snafu for its original third episode. We recorded 3.5 hours of it, myself, Mono, a new person by the name of Fishbowl, who will be joining us today, and Maddie. And the audio was unsalvageable. So it would have been 3.5 hours of nothing. So we're putting that topic off to the side for now. The topic, by the way, was comic books. So I figured I'm gonna try and get a few comic representatives inside of this little space in order to potentially get more opinions in there and make for an even longer episode, because, that's what people like these days, right? But, so, in the meantime, I have devised a bit of a 2.5 episode, because of the rumored NRS-made Marvel game that is on the track. And it's also a 0.5 because it's actually really short, relatively speaking. It's only 4 topics, so we should be able to breeze through this relatively quickly. So, without further ado... Oh, before I forget, unfortunately Mono will not be joining us for this particular episode, but they said they will be back for another one. So, that's just a heads up. It'll just be myself, Maddie, and the new friend, Fishbowl. Don't forget to be awesome, and please enjoy. Okay, I think I got it this time. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, and I can hear you too. Fantastic. So, a little bit unfortunate that Maddie can't quite make it today, but that's all good. That's all good. This is a bit of a halfway episode. I'm still a little bit mad about the last episode, but if things all work out, we're gonna get more people, and it's gonna be a jolly good time anyway. So I'll just have to scramble the questions from last time. So today's topic is on the rumored NetherRealm Studios made Marvel game that has been buzzing about for the past few days. So, first, what are your thoughts generally? Like, would you want a NetherRealm-made Marvel game, or would you like Marvel to be in the hands of another studio for that?
That is a question. I don't know, my history with NetherRealm, Injustice 2 was the only NetherRealm game I played, and I wasn't quite a fan of that, but I'm curious to see what NetherRealm could do with Marvel if they tried. It's like I can see the appeal of that. I can see the appeal of a NetherRealm game, even though I can't quite hack the gameplay.
I gotcha. Sorry. As somebody who has played NetherRealm games since Mortal Kombat 9, I personally am a touch wary, but because I know they can nail the gameplay, because I love the gameplay, and I feel like, obviously, cinematically speaking, it's going to be fantastic, and I'm not worried about the budget. But
The story?
Yeah. I mean, they turned Wonder Woman into a child killer somehow, so that's fun. But really, I attribute that more to who they have in the story department, because the Mortal Kombat X comic is actually pretty good, and there's obviously moments from the Injustice comics that work out really well, the Dinah Ollie Harley thing, and it has its moments, it has its potential. It just needs a better writer.
Yeah, I do, I think Injustice 2, I saw the bones of, I don't know, this could be an interesting AU if, a bunch of different things were changed, but then, I don't know, good idea, bad execution,
Yeah, it's not quite the Animaniacs good idea, bad idea, If anybody's old enough to remember that reference, that would be fantastic. Alright, so let's hop into the first thing, which is the evidence. Presently, the evidence at large is is a leak from a notorious leaker who's saying it is in development right now, and an old Game Informer clip where Ed Boon confirms that that Marvel apparently actually talked to him, and he had to backtrack because, he apparently said too much. Do you buy this as enough evidence, or are you still waiting for more?
Here's my thing. This notorious leaker, what is this track record with accuracy? And this kind of
Let me see if I can quickly find that, because, like a scatterbrain, I did not bother to actually check into it until, I checked into it when the story came out, and then I forgot about it because, I'm a loon. But if I can, I'll very quickly get the track record for you. But if it's one leaker, in my mind, if it's just the one guy, and the Game Informer clip is actually more convincing. But again, that was from almost 2 years ago, so...
Yeah, so the Game Informer clip is, it could be outdated, and, I don't know, those talks could fail, but...
Yeah, exactly. Like, the Ash Williams thing is a perfect example of that, because Ash Williams was leaked multiple times, and he was actually going to be in MK11, and he wasn't, so they had to go get RoboCop. That's how that happened. If and that makes any sense. Let's see. Rumored to be from the Mortal Kombat devs. Here, where's it? Oh, Resetera. That's perfect. Because apparently Resetera is like the spot for leakerbo beakers. Banana faniful freakers. Because, yeah, that's a funny thing too, right? Because sometimes you get these leakers that are just on point with so many of their things, so they're ones to keep an eye out for. But at the moment, I'm 50% convinced that we're gonna get a Marvel fighting game. I'd call it
I don't know. It's weird that Capcom isn't making a Marvel fighting game, but then again, after the last one, I don't think I would want them to.
Well, it's not even Capcom's fault. They had a plan. They started out with 30 characters and had a plan for 60, but due to all the Disney interference.
Yeah, I don't know. That's Disney is probably my biggest apprehension with most Marvel things coming out. I don't know. I have a love-hate relationship with the MCU and Disney Marvel in general.
Yeah, and clearly they would be drawing from that influence. But the nice thing about the Marvel Games branch is that they were kind of able to skirt some of that.
Yeah, because, I don't know, you look at Marvel Spider-Man, and there's, some influence from the MCU there, but then there's also influence from, I don't know, the Raimi films, or the Amazing films, or the comics. What a fantastic concept.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, you could tell that Insomniac actually gave a toss, and as far as I was able to find, I couldn't actually find the leaker's name in the relatively short period of time. I should have actually had this prepared, so... I think I will file this under maybe.
It would be awesome if it came out and was good, but
yeah. And that leads actually to the next point, because a lot of people have been talking about how, NRS is a WB-made company, and they've made DC fighting games, and they made a crossover fighting game back in 2008. That probably means there's going to be Marvel versus DC. But I'm not totally convinced, personally. So the questions then become, will it be a Marvel exclusive fighting game? Do you think it'll be Marvel versus DC? What do you think is going to be the general conflict? What's your take?
I feel like while a Marvel versus DC game is on the horizon, if this is true, they're going to play it safe by starting out with a Marvel game, and maybe... just maybe they'll have a DC guest fighter, like
Ooh.
Batman or Superman.
I can see that. Just plant the seeds for an amalgam story in the sequel.
Yeah, plant the seeds, man. Plant the seeds. But also, I don't know. this is just my cynical take coming in, but like, for the story, I see them adapting Civil War.
That's exactly what I'm picturing, because as much as, Civil War has been a real mixed kit and caboodle, it's kind of the perfect way to kind of get heroes to fight each other. Even if it's...
Either that or, like, I don't know, like, I know for a fact that if this is happening, they're going to adapt Civil War, but, like, part of me kind of wishes they do something like, I don't know, Secret Wars or a Contest of Champions, where it's like you're fighting a bunch of different heroes from other dimensions and stuff like that.
Ooh.
I don't know, something unique.
Well, Contest of Champions is a mobile game that's been around for almost 5 years, so I don't know if they can do that one, because Kabam's still making money off of that game. It's still getting new players.
Not something like exactly like that, but I don't know, some similar concept, say, or like, I don't know, merge it in Secret War where the Beyonder is fucking things up and basically pulling that,
You would know more about the Marvel stories than I do, but that's actually kind of a neat thing. I was just picturing that they would play it safe and have it be Civil War and have the final boss be either Tony Stark or Captain America, depending on which side you pick.
Yeah, like, I don't know, but this is just me being hopeful, because, like, if this is happening, I know they're doing Civil War.
With an almost certainty, right?
Yeah, with an almost certainty.
Because you can never be 100% sure.
As for the roster, again, this is me being cynical, but I see it being super MCU inspired. Like, super MCU heavy. Super MCU heavy.
That would be fair. On my end, I think it's honestly a 50-50 shot, whether it's a Civil War style Marvel exclusive fighter, or if it's even technically Marvel versus Injustice. And hell, you could even have a story where Batman is under threat from interdimensional people, so he tries to get the heroes from the other dimension that helped him in the first game, but pulls out a whole bunch of weirdos that he's never seen before, and all of that stuff. And then maybe we'll have the villain be Dr. Doom Von Darkseid or something. I don't know.
Or, I don't know, what are some objects of power in the DC universe that either Doctor Doom or the more accurate choice for a villain, Thanos, since he's still big, would want?
Well, there's the anti-life equation, there's taking control of the source wall, there's harnessing the power of the green or the red, but those are more metaphysical entities. There's the Helm of Fate, but that got squished in Injustice 2. I would have to think about it for a second. I know there's... Well, then there is Brainiac. There is Brainiac's ship and his entire collection worth considering.
What would be a good story for a Marvel vs. DC game? Because, like, I want the villain to be, like, either Doctor Doom, or if we're going... Since we're probably going the Injustice universe and most of the major villains are dead, so maybe Doctor Doom tries taking control of the Omega Force from Darkseid.
Oh.
Since, if anything, Doctor Doom could do that. Since he's him, and like he takes over Apocalypse, and like both the Justice League, whatever's left of it, and the Avengers kind of have to stop him from taking over both universes. It's basic, but it works.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need it to be overly complicated. You're just looking for an excuse to have Batman punch Iron Man in the face, basically. So, right,
and then team up by the end of the first act. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And plan things out in order to defeat Dark Doom. We'll call him Dark Doom.
Dark Doom.
Because,
love it.
That's such a 90s edgy amalgamation monster name. I love it.
Either that or Doomside.
Doomside. Oh, that just
Doomside.
That just rolls off the tongue so well. Anyhow, that actually leads to my next thing, because obviously it's not all positive over at NetherRealm and Marvel and all of this. what would be some of your top concerns about the game? Like roster size, roster picks, general story tone, anything that would be weirdly tone deaf, etc.
Oh boy.
That's
Obviously, obviously there's the story, since I don't think I've encountered a version of Civil War that I've liked, because the comics, it's Mark Millar, and the movie, like, it felt like the actual Civil War part of the movie feels like set dressing that they immediately throw away to focus on Bucky, so it's not really a Civil War story, it's just...
padding for Bucky.
Yeah, it's just setup that has no impact whatsoever for the Zemo stuff. And I do like the Zemo stuff, but like as a Civil War story, it's not great.
Yeah.
So if they're truly going Civil War, like all the evidence, which is just common sense, implies, that would be my biggest concern. Because like, how are they going to handle it? Are they going to handle it with nuance, or are they going to handle it like they did in Injustice?
Or Mortal Kombat 11 would be the more appropriate example, given that at least with Injustice they kind of tried with some of the characters, and then with MK11, particularly Aftermath, it was 3 sheets to the wind, my dude. It was ridiculous.
Oh God.
It was 3 sheets to the wind. Like, I mean, for obviously turning Wonder Woman into a weird, crazy, fanatic girlfriend of evil Superman is one thing.
And like how Injustice 2 implies that she might have turned into the dark side through their relationship, and I'm not sure if that's sexist.
That
I feel not okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, that would probably be a safe take to make, that's kind of a, or at the very least, it's a very wildly out of character take. I mean, by the time of the He-Man crossover, which is based off of the bad
Evil
ending,
Superman ending.
Based off of the evil Superman ending, yeah. Wonder Woman is from my understanding, is basically confirmed to have killed a bunch of children.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
They turned her into Darth Vader. What the?
Yeah. This is Wonder Woman doing this, by the way. And in hindsight, I think we should have seen what happened to Sindel coming, considering what they did to Dominic Giancola was like, hey, let's do this with Wonder Woman. No. Because they turned Sindel into the most egregious evil stepmother stereotype I've ever seen.
Oh God.
When,
did either of these games have female writers? I'm wondering.
No, they've had the same writer they've had the same writer for all of them since technically Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe. They had the same guy. There was Sean Kittleson for Mortal Kombat X, which kind of helped make some good moments happen in there, because there's a second writer having input in there, and then John Vogel helped write MK9, so there's some consistency. But with the single solo writer they got basically handing the keys to the kingdom to it. No.
Oh, that's unfortunate. But I don't know. Aside from the story, but the roster is probably a big one.
Yeah.
Because, I know it's going to be MCU inspired, so I know it's going to be Avengers heavy with a bunch of spider characters. But, I'm wondering, one, that and the size of the roster is probably going to be a big one. And whether or not it'll leave characters that aren't in the MCU yet, like the X-Men or Fantastic Four.
That's a really good question on that front, because the Disney machine has swallowed up most of the Fox properties, so theoretically it's possible that they could use them. But with NetherRealm games in general, you have a 24 to 28 character size roster at the start, usually lowering
so
towards
14
24.
villains and 14 villains and 14 heroes to probably try and make it fair,
If you're following the Injustice 1 formula, then yeah, you would do that. And then you would have DLC that splits it down the line. So you would end up with, and they usually do quite a bit of DLC, so they've been expanding how much DLC they do. So if we use Injustice 2 as our model, they had 28 characters at launch, and then they had 10 DLC characters in Darkseid, Sub-Zero, Raiden, Hellboy, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. No, I'm not kidding on that, by the way.
Oh yeah, no, I played Injustice 2. I know the turtles are in there.
Yeah, which is still weird to think about, considering how grimdark the Injustice universe is, that you decide, hey, let's have some plucky Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
You want to know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that one panel that got really popular from the Batman and Ninja Turtles crossover. You know the one I'm talking about, right?
I think so.
This is where my parents died, Raphael.
Yep. It's like, that is not Cowabunga, dude.
That is...
Like, that's probably my biggest concern. Like, I'm not too worried about the roster. It's like, it's whatever. They'll probably reach about 40 characters, which for a fighting game is actually not that bad. It's actually quite a sizable roster. My biggest concern would be obviously how many people do they leave out, right? Because
Yeah.
like if they don't put Wolverine in, but they end up putting in somebody like I don't know, the Purple Man.
Oh, that... Don't even joke about that, man.
I'm just saying it is a possibility. You know what I mean? Because if Marvel and Warner Brothers are, like, pulling the strings, NetherRealm's kind of stuck. So, legally speaking. But my biggest concern is definitely the story, because unless they replace the writer, because even if Sean Kittleson was the writer that came back, because he wrote the MKX comic, which was pretty good, and then he helped write the MKX story in the game, which has its problems, obviously, but it is regarded as the best, generally, of the NRS stories. Or if we got maybe if we actually got some people who wrote comics, like, I don't know, Tom Taylor, Gail Simone.
Dude, that would be amazing, man.
Did you know that Gail Simone was actually penned to write a Mortal Kombat story, and then WB?
Oh yeah, I saw that on her Twitter. I saw that on her Twitter once. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think WB was just like, yeah, no, let's not. And it's like, you had the Birds of Prey writer basically penned to write a Mortal Kombat story, and you just chuck that aside? Come on now. Utter madness. Utter madness. And that leaves us with actually our final point. This is going to be by far the shortest episode of the WraithCast, because I only had 4 points. Roster building exercise! Yay! Did you have something else to say?
Oh, no, I was saying, oh, sweet.
Excellent. So, the funny thing is that I had no preamble on this, so I'm going to have to open Notepad right now and split this up. Marvel fighting roster. Marvel only, DC only. Or, not DC only. Crossover. There we go. So, here is the dealio with this idea. We're going to try and predict what the launch roster... I'm not going to do DLC because DLC is way too unpredictable, especially if we're doing a Marvel fighter, which means we could potentially have crossovers from literally half of the properties on planet Earth. Like, they literally could put Mickey Mouse in this game through the Disney influence. You know what I mean? So we're just going to...
I feel like Disney wouldn't do that, but, like, imagine Scrooge McDuck as a guest fighter.
I mean, he was in a Capcom game once before, so, you know.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying, right? Because Marvel is connected to such a colossal conglomerate of properties, it is entirely possible that the DLC would be impossible to predict. At least
I feel like,
reasonably speaking. So we would just be doing the launch roster.
I don't know. I feel like Predator might be a safe bet for, like, DLC.
Except they've already done Predator. And it would be really hard to double up on the rights. Like, I get the fact that they did Rain twice doesn't means that that they're not shy of repeating DLC. But
I don't know, since Predator is like, since since Predator is like now owned by Marvel, or like the comic book rights, they might want try to cash in on that.
Maybe, or get Ellen Ripley in there from Alien or something. Again, that's what makes this so hard. It's like trying to predict who's going to be the next guest character in Fortnite. It's just not going to happen. Like, have you seen... There's a poll out there on Fortnite where they're asking about, like, which video game characters have you heard of? And it's, like, 20 or 30 names across, like, 15 franchises. Ratchet and Clank, Jill Valentine, all of these crazy names. Oh, God. Actually, I'm surprised they haven't done a Resident Evil crossover, considering it's the 25th anniversary. But maybe that's something for the future. I don't know. Anyway, point is... We're going to try and do a roster building exercise with, assuming that it's Marvel only and a Marvel vs. DC based roster. Safe bet, we'll do 26 characters, because that's that kind of meets it in the middle and gives us, 13 for each side. Would you like to get that on the road?
Yeah, because, I don't know. Starting off, I can see them already doing the original 7 Avengers. Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, Hulk,
and all of that.
Black Widow, Hawkeye, yeah. I can already... But, like, honestly, I would prefer them not to do Hawkeye or Black Widow. Because, like, to get more, I don't know, other characters in there. I already know we're going to have some Spider people in there.
Almost certainly.
Peter Parker is a given. Miles Morales is a given. Although, here's an idea I've been kicking around in my head. Like, you know how how Injustice had like that alt skin system where they would have an alt skin and for a character with similar enough power set to just change characters, like Flash would turn into Reverse Flash, Hal would turn into John.
Yeah, the premier skin system. I know what you're talking about.
So yeah, just do that, but so like you can change Thor into either Jane Foster Thor or Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah.
Or like Iron Man into War Machine Hulk into Red Hulk.
I have actually
kind of
penned an idea for a Marvel fighting game called Marvel Battle World. I might have to share the documents with you sometime, but I ended up making a 72 character roster. Oops. And that's not even counting the AE skins, which are basically the premier skins but slightly enhanced. But I'm actually typing out a possible roster right now based off of what I know is going on over at Marvel right now.
So, like, I don't know, at least we can get that core 5 roster in there, plus Spider-Man as, like, a given, so that's... Wait, no, it's the core 4, Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, Thor.
Yep.
So, yeah, like... That 5 is a given, definitely a given.
And then, how many heroes is that? I'm at 8 heroes right now and no villains, so I think I'll just focus on heroes for now until I get to villains, and then we can figure out what villains we want to do. Let's see, 9 will be... They'll probably throw us a couple of token mutants in there too, just because they don't want MCU, or the roster is too MCU as a criticism, so we'll probably get like Wolverine.
Nightcrawler would be an amazing addition to the roster, man.
Absolutely, and I think Wolverine might actually get the premier skin treatment with Logan and Laura.
Laura and Old Man Logan.
Yeah, something along those lines. And then
Deadpool is another given.
Oh yeah, as far as mutants go, that dude's a given.
Daredevil.
Yep, 11 Daredevil because of the Netflix series. And then I heard they were going to try and reboot that, so 12 they'll probably do Luke Cage, and for number 13 I'm actually going to put in Black Panther, because that's like the fans want Black Panther, so here's Black Panther.
You kind of have to have Black Panther, especially after
how well that movie turned out. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So that's 13 heroes. Now let's move on to the 13 villains. I think Thanos is a given.
Loki is probably a given.
Loki's definitely a given with Thor in the picture.
I feel like Venom is also a given.
Venom with a Carnage premier skin.
Oh, that'd be Venom with the Carnage, maybe Toxin premier skin.
Something along those lines. Let's see. Abomination, I feel like would be another game.
Abomination would be a good choice.
I feel
Doc
like,
Ock.
ooh, yeah, especially given how well Doc Ock worked out in the Spider-Man video game, Doctor Octopus, and
For
NetherRealm has,
Spider-Man villain representation, it's either Doc Ock or Green Goblin I'm seeing, because I can see Doc Ock kind of like specializing in ranged attacks with his arms. It's kind of like it's just kind of zoning, keeping the enemy at bay. Whereas Green Goblin, I can see him zipping around, like throwing bombs around the stage.
And NetherRealm always has a penchant for trying new concepts, and they have done a tendril character before with Brainiac, so I can actually see them doing Doctor Octopus.
So how many villains is that?
We have Thanos, Loki, Venom, Abomination, Doctor Octopus. That's 5. We're at 18 out of 26 total. So I have all the heroes down.
Either Kingpin or Bullseye.
I'm thinking Kingpin.
Kingpin.
Because his cane can have all sorts of different gadgetry, and then he can summon goons and whatnot.
Oh, that'd be a very cool idea. Because I don't know, like summoning goons to like fight across the stage while also being more of like a grappler type.
Yeah, I actually.
Well, like,
I'm not penning this guy down as his own character, but I actually put Killmonger as a Black Panther premier skin.
Smart.
T'Challa and Killmonger, because they've done that before with Flash and Reverse Flash, having a villain be a premier skin. So I wouldn't be surprised if the premier skin system is back, they would slot Killmonger in as a premier skin for good old BP.
Like for other premier skins, I could probably see Miles, Spider-Gwen, and 2099 as premier skins for Peter.
Here's the thing. They will. I'm not sure if they'll do this for the Marvel one, but I know for a fact that they didn't do any gender bent premier skins in Injustice 2, because, literally because, and I quote, they were concerned about the hitboxes. No, you weren't. You just wanted to save yourself some more dev time, which is totally fine. But if you just said
fair, Crunch is a bitch, and MK11 devs would know that.
Actually, the NRS devs would have known that since Injustice 2, but shh, nobody's supposed to know that, at least.
Oh.
But yeah. Anyways, villains. Because I got Thanos, Loki, Venom, Abomination, Doctor Octopus, Kingpin, Taskmaster.
Taskmaster is a must. Oh my god, he would be so fun.
Well, especially considering that he's a villain in the Black Widow movie, which is why I have both Natasha and Yennefer Black Widow on the list. So there is.
But also, he would be like a super cool gimmick where like he could probably copy the other opponent's specials or combos.
Yeah, literally Shang Tsung. That's what they would do. They would give him a special move where it's like just a command grab. They beat him up, and then all of a sudden he steals your moves. It is what it is. Who else? Yeah, because it's unfortunately quite hard to do MCU-based villains, but we do have a mutant villain.
Magneto.
Yes.
Like, Magneto is definitely a given.
Yeah. And if Magneto's in the game, I really want Charles Xavier to be DLC.
Like,
either DLC or somewhere in the launch roster. I want Chuck to be a playable fighter, damn it.
to see him, like, scooting around in his hover wheelchair.
Oh, yeah, dude. You're gonna have to make new hit animations for the wheelchair character. I don't care. You want to do new stuff? Have a wheelchair using character as a fighter. Nobody else has done that yet. NetherRealm. Thor. We had Loki. Oh. Hela.
Ooh, especially after Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, especially considering that we don't actually have any female villains unless they decide to go with Olivia Octavius for Dr. Octopus. Or
she could be a premier skin for regular Octavius. I could see that.
Yeah, I'm actually going to do something with Loki real quick too. Loki, Femme Loki. Because we need our gender neutral icon. There we go. That's Doc Ock. Done. Hela, 23 Skidoo. Another female villain. I think we should try and focus on female villains, because we don't have...
Elektra.
Elektra's in a weird spot, though. Isn't she technically an anti-hero?
Yeah, because she's an anti-hero, and she's currently Daredevil, so... It's either her or, what... Crap, I'm forgetting her name. The Daredevil girlfriend who is pyrokinetic.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. Ooh, I got one. You know what we don't have yet? We don't have an Inhuman villain yet. And would you consider Medusa a villain?
Isn't she Black Bolt's wife, though? Like...
That's true, and Black Bolt is a good guy. So unless we pull a seriously out of... So if we have another seriously out-of-character queen with hair powers... let's not do the Inhumans for now, then. Just for now. Oh, but they could definitely be part of a stage, considering we have Miss Marvel on the roster. Because of her TV show coming up. Female villains. I'm surprised at how difficult this actually is proving to be. To remember any female Marvel villains, and that sucks.
Because I know there's Typhoid Mary is who I'm thinking of.
Ah, okay. Typhoid Mary. Oh, and you know they would probably want to do some sort of obscure character. So you know what? I'm going to do that. Replace Elektra with Typhoid Mary. They'll try and pull a few obscure oddities out of left field. Thor. Also Beta Ray Bill. Jane Foster. I forgot to mention that. Steve. Oh, you know who we're forgetting?
Falcon?
No, not necessarily. I have him as one of the Captain America Premier skins concerning Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Although I don't know how his wings would work for the move.
I have Sam Wilson as one of the Captain America Premier skins, so it's not as much of an issue. But
No, like as a Premier skin, how would you incorporate his wings into Steve's move set and vice versa?
Just give it to him as an equipable special move.
Oh.
I mean, it wouldn't be a huge surprise because it's not like Captain America hasn't expanded his arsenal before, right? So.
Mm-hmm.
And you know he's a resourceful guy.
Unless you just make Sam Wilson the default Captain America, and so the wings would just be
part of that thing. Yeah, you could totally do that. On that topic though, I could see this being a plot point in the story because they're obviously going to fiddle with it as it were, but Winter Soldier as our 24th character in there as one of the bad guys.
I'm surprised I did not think of that before. I'm surprised I didn't think of that before this.
It's shocking that it took me this long, honestly, to come around to that. To have Winter Soldier as the bad guy, and then one of the focal points of the story is that, oh, he's back and now on the good guy side. But, you know, he's still going to be on the villain side for reasons. Like how Harley is technically a good guy in the Injustice universe, but she's on the villain side. Because historically she was a bad guy. Let's get a little bit creative. Let's grab a couple of
obscure bad. You know me. I'd love to have Mysterio as a bad guy. Cause he'd just be so fun. Even though he's pretty athletic, but like he's kind of a crap fighter. So maybe you could like have him be more ranged attacks where he's like pulling out dragons or skeletons or whatever from from like halfway across the stage to like keep his opponents at a
Creative
distance.
keep away would be Mysterio's gimmick, and I would totally
Creative
be here
keep
for that.
away, like teleporting to other sides of the stage. That would be such a fun gimmick fighter. It would be a pain to fight it online, but
Well, that until you find the character with the teleport that normally doesn't have a teleport and thus kick his ass. But you know, like Supergirl has a teleport in Injustice 2. It's a little weird, but it works.
or just wait, no, isn't Nightcrawler on the roster?
He is not. He is actually not. I did not.
Oh.
Because Nightcrawler's been shafted before. His slot actually went to Deadpool. So.
Oh.
Because remember.
Wait, no. Deadpool had the teleport belt in his own video game.
Yep, and in some issues of the comic. So yeah, they could easily let him keep his teleporter shenanigans anyhow. And number 26 for villains. I'm going to say Lady Death. Wait, or is it just Death in the Marvel?
I think it's Lady Deathstrike. Wait, no, Lady Death or Lady Deathstrike are you talking?
Who
are you thinking of?
The one that Thanos is crushing super hard after.
Oh, so Lady Death.
Yeah.
Lady Death.
Yeah, Lady Death.
That is such an oddball pick. I want to hear the reasoning behind it.
Honestly, just because I needed to fill out the slots, but also because it would be really cool to see a character whose entire gimmick revolves around damage over time and decaying you to death. Like, she doesn't even necessarily get most of her damage from hitting you, so much as she's basically trying to rot you to death.
I don't know. To me, that sounds a bit overpowered, because, like, you could just wait out the match.
Well, you would think, but maybe the DOT's only active if she's not being hit.
Oh, that balances it out, and it would be a fun character, but I don't see how Lady Death could, like, fit into the story since she's such, I don't know, a cosmic force.
You've got gods in here, so why not?
True.
And maybe she's in here because she's finally had enough of Thanos' shit and is like, dude, stop it! I'm with Deadpool! Leave it alone!
Even then, like, her and Deadpool's relationship is
dicey at best, you know what I mean? I'm with you on that. So for the crossover, I'm actually going to put all the Marvel characters in here first because I already wrote them down, so give me a second to do that.
But, like, I know you said for DLC, but I'm putting it out there. Moon Knight, since he's getting his own show, and Ghost Rider because I demand it.
I mean, I totally get the idea for the demand, but I also really like that you pointed out Moon Knight, because that's actually why I have Miss Marvel and She-Hulk on the roster, because they have shows coming out pretty soon here. So, of our 26, who would be our 13 Marvel representatives in the MVDC thing, do you think? I'm thinking Captain America,
Iron Man, Thor, and Hulk and Spider-Man. Those are definite.
And then I think it's also a safe bet that we get Wolverine and Black Widow in there. And then for our villains, actually no.
I feel like Deadpool is also a safe bet, but
I'm gonna replace Wolverine with Deadpool for that reason, because we have to fill out 1, 2, 3, 4, a relatively limited amount of slots for the villains. So Loki, Thanos, Taskmaster, Dr. Octopus, Winter Soldier, because he's super on the point there, and Magneto. Now for the DC side of things. That's Batman,
Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern.
Wonder Woman. Yeah, you're right about the Flash as well, because the Flash is actually Ed Boon's favorite DC character, so he's definitely going to get a shout. That is 5. That's 5 DC heroes, so let's fit one more in there. And
Cyborg because of the movie. Cyborg because of the movie.
yes, that will work too. That will work really well. Booyah.
Either Cyborg or Aquaman, I can see.
I think let's do Cyborg. We'll put Cyborg in there, and then for
As
villains,
for villains,
Darkseid,
Darkseid is obvious. We have
Joker. As much
also obvious.
as much as I don't
Kinda
like
hell.
it, as much as I don't like it, Joker
As-
is
as
almost a
I-
goddamn shoo-in at this
I
point.
Don't like it either, but
Lex Luthor.
Joker, and I can bet Batman Who Laughs is a premier skin for Joker.
Yeah. I'm not even counting premier skins for the crossover. I'm just doing roster, just straight roster picks. I put Lex Luthor in there.
Sinestro, since we have Green Lantern on the roster.
Yep, which is, it's weird that they didn't use Sinestro in MK vs. DC, but they have their reasons. I think he was actually supposed to be DLC at one point alongside Harley Quinn and Robin and Quan Chi, but that never happened. I get the funny feeling that they would actually do Gorilla Grodd.
Gorilla Grodd sounds like a safe bet, because, like, Reverse Flash would be a premier skin for Flash, but Gorilla Grodd is... They already got the moveset from Injustice 2.
Yeah,
And,
and,
like-
and I feel like with the DC characters in particular, they just take their Injustice movesets and plonk them in there as a safe bet.
Which sounds lazy, but what are you going to do?
Plus, I mean, I actually don't mind that it's a legacy thing, because legacy fighters have been a thing since fighting games were a thing. I mean, it's what makes Street Fighter so neat, you know?
Yeah.
Anyhow.
What is another good villain? We don't have a Wonder Woman villain on here.
No, we don't, and that leads to the wonder of which the wonder of which Wonder Woman villain do you do? Do you do Ares? Do you do Cheetah? Do you do Dr. Poison?
I feel like Cheetah is the bet they're gonna go with because the movie that came out recently.
Yeah,
Plus, she was already in Injustice 2. Plus, I can see like a fight between her and someone like Spider-Man and the quips that Peter would say.
yeah. It's like, Felicia, is that you? I have no idea who you're talking about. All right then, never mind. Because you know that's gonna happen. And then I think for a number 26 for the final DC villain, just looking at the roster of who we've got, because we have a Batman villain, we have a Superman villain, we have a Wonder villain, we have a Flash villain, we have a GL villain.
We have a GL villain.
We don't technically have a Cyborg villain, but I'm gonna pull from the Titans and slap Deathstroke in there.
Yeah, that's the safest bet.
Because also people want Deathstroke, myself included. So,
And also the interactions between him and Deadpool would be amazing.
especially considering where Deadpool came from. I
And
can even,
Deadpool would be like, oh my god, you know, or something like, you know, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. I don't know what you mean. Yeah, not many people do.
or even better, if you really just want to like hammer that point home, Deadpool's just you could have an intro like, "Daddy!" Deathstroke's like, "The hell are you talking about?" Deadpool, "It's a really long story."
Or something like, Daddy, the hell are you talking about? Yeah, I'm used to absentee fathers.
Ooh, but that, ladies and gentlemen who have been tuning in to the WraithCast, is our Marvel fighting game roster via NetherRealm. Those are our guesses. You know, being
Want to run it down again?
yep, going with our relatively safe, reasonable picks because that's how NetherRealm do. We have Captain America, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, Black Widow, Thor, Hulk, Wolverine, Deadpool, Daredevil, Luke Cage, Black Panther, Thanos, Loki, Venom, Abomination, Dr. Octopus, Kingpin, Taskmaster, Magneto, Typhoid Mary, Winter Soldier, Mysterio, and Lady Death for the Marvel exclusive roster. And I gotta channel my inner announcer voice for the crossover one because that's how we roll on this channel. Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, Spider-Man, Deadpool, Black Widow, Loki, Thanos, Taskmaster, Dr. Octopus, Winter Soldier, and Magneto for the Marvel side. And for the DC side, we have Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Green Lantern, Cyborg, Darkseid, The Joker, Lex Luthor, Sinestro, Gorilla Grodd, Cheetah, and Deathstroke. That's how the roster plays out on both sides of the spectrum because we want to play it safe here on the channel. Do. I don't know why.
Plus, there's always room for DLC.
Exactly. And this is all launch roster hypotheticals for safety's sake. It's obviously super hard and almost impossible to make these kinds of lists because, for all we know, they could be like, we could literally be like Black Widow. No, let's get Medusa in there instead. Or what do you mean, Lady?
Or
what do you mean, Lady Death?
Lady Death? No, we need Squirrel Girl.
Oh God.
I actually see her being a DLC character. I can actually see that.
No. You know what I could see her as? I could see her as a mode where you have to do as much damage as possible to her in a limited amount of time, but you can never beat her.
The unbeatable Squirrel Girl.
Exactly.
Lives up to her name.
And then that's how you would get your challenges and all of that finished. Is just or like maybe there's even a certain challenge. Do 10,000 damage to Squirrel Girl in a week. Or something ridiculous like that. But that, I think, that covers everything, believe it or not. That covers everything that I had on the list. And we've only been recording for less than an hour. This is going to be a really short one for the WraithCast. But when we redo the comic episodes sometime in May or even in June, it's going to be huge because we're going to have a real special guest on here. So don't forget to be awesome, my friends. I'll see you guys on the other side. And thanks again, Fishbowl, for being able to swing by.
No problem. And for all those listening, watch Infinity Train.
He's gonna be on that Infinity Train wagon thing for a little while yet. So watch Infinity Train. Don't make Fishbowl cry. You know how Fishbowl is.
Or I will be there. Or I will be there in your mirrors.
Crying because you didn't watch Infinity Train.
I'm gonna be like one of those fucked up ghosts. I'm gonna be like one of those creepypasta ghosts.
Dun dun dun.